The American Southwest has served as a melting pot for numerous tribes and countries for millennia. Where there are different groups of people, there are conflicts of interest. Where there are conflicts of interest, there is often violence. The Southwest is no exception. Not being content to only read about history, I decided to backpack into a desolate part of the Navajo homeland to further unpack the layers of the Southwest's complex history. I'll be camping and exploring for the next 2 days, hoping to discover clues and windows into this unique time period. All right, let's get rolling. Today is definitely unsettled weather-wise. It spits a little sleet and it spits a little rain. Then we get some blue skies, so who knows? Lone coyote ahead of me. So for the next 2 days, I'm going to be traveling across a small section of what would be considered the Navajo ancestral homeland. The Navajo used to range throughout a lot of the Four Corners region. The Navajo aren't just a people of the past. They are very much in the Southwest today. The reservation is the largest in the country, bigger than even 10 U.S. states. They have a rich and proud history stretching to the present day. Another thing that makes this area particularly interesting as well is a section of the old Spanish trail passes through here. And so I'll talk a little bit about that in a second, but you've got these different layers of human history here because you've got the Navajo, but there were people before the Navajo as well. And you've got the Spanish and the Mexicans and the Americans and other tribes integrating all in this area. And so it leads to this very rich and complex history. Let me interject briefly for the viewers who might not be understanding what I'm talking about. The American Southwest has been inhabited by various native tribes for thousands of years. Exactly how long depends on who you ask. From a European standpoint, the Spanish were the first into the region in the mid-1500s. They, of course, claimed it for Spain. 300 years of very tumultuous history follow. The effects of that are partially what we're going to explore on this trip. But out here, it's hard to unravel one time period from another. They often intertwine, and one affects the other. So you may hear me reference the Mexicans or the Americans. Why is that? Well, Mexico gained its independence from Spain in 1821. For a couple decades, the Southwest was considered part of Mexico, but it again changed hands after the Mexican-American War in the 1840s. Since then, it's been considered part of the United States. I'm oversimplifying history, but if you're interested to learn more, I'd check out this book, Blood and Thunder. There's many good books on the subject, but this is one of my favorites. Let's get back to the adventure. So the route I'm going to travel in the next 2 days travels through the bottom of this big canyon. And down at the bottom, there's a big dry wash, which is what I'm walking in right now. There's also a dirt road system through here that I might jump on from time to time. Now, you might be wondering, well, if there's a dirt road system, why are you backpacking it? That's a valid question. Coming out here and walking a portion of this, I feel like I connect a little deeper with the people from the 1800s or the 1600s or, the 2000 BC who were traveling across this landscape. Couple cattle free ranging over here. He's like, what's that idiot doing down there in the wash with a backpack on? Man, it's windy. The wind's really kicking up a dust storm here. Got that gritty crunch in my teeth. If you guys have hiked the Southwest, you know what I'm talking about. Seeing an opportunity, I ducked into a side canyon to take a momentary break from the wind. While resting, I noticed two intriguing alcoves high on the canyon wall. I decided to put the drone up. The first one I checked was empty, The second, well, you can see for yourself. Clearly, much of the structure has fallen down over time. You can see the blackening on the roof that's typical of a place that has seen fires. Was this constructed by the Navajo or someone long before them? I couldn't tell you. Not wanting to expend so much energy early in the trip, I contented myself with the drone footage and headed back into the main canyon where the wind was still howling. Unrelenting. Tracks will be covered up before long with this blowing sand. Whew, finally got some windbreak up in this canyon. So one of the reasons I chose to hike this section is supposedly there's a canyon just right up here that has a ton of rock art in it. So pretty sure this is it up here. Not feeling too hopeful about the prospects of staying dry, but guess we'll see. So here's what I know about this site. It's got a large collection of petroglyphs, many of them from the 16th to the 18th centuries, and those would be Navajo. There's also scattered around in here supposedly a number of petroglyphs from earlier time periods, the ancestral Puebloan or the Anasazi. This one's pretty cool, the sandal, you know, with the foot impression in it. Huh. Here's an old stone wall, a little bit up under that overhang. Just to the left of that wall, you've got a sun and something, I don't know if that's another sun or possibly a moon. This canyon has supposedly been used by cowboys and sheep herders in the past too, so kind of looks like possibly a depiction of one of them smoking a cigarette. A lot of elk sign through here. I believe that's Spanish up there. It's everywhere. Looks like a little foot up here, doesn't it? Just found this little overhang, so I think I'm gonna post up for a second, eat a snack, see if this rain's gonna move on by or if I need to break out the rain gear. But while I wait, maybe I'll try to give you guys a little bit of backstory. A really quick synopsis about the Navajo people and some of the people that came prior. I'll preface this by saying tribal oral histories don't always align with the theories of anthropologists and archaeologists. It's generally believed that the Navajo migrated into the Southwest sometime maybe in the 1400s or 1500s. I have seen dates as early as 1100. It's generally believed that they migrated from somewhere much further north, maybe like subarctic Canada. And the reason the experts say that is because their language is Athabascan in origin. Certainly do further research if you want a more nuanced view of this, but basically, right, languages don't just pop out of the sky. You know, they're formed. And so you can trace similarities between languages and kind of get to understand a similar origin. Prior to the Navajo, this area of the Southwest would have been considered by most modern-day scholars to be inhabited by the ancestral Puebloan people. Now, this is a sticky and very complex situation. So there is a popular YouTube channel and YouTube video out by a Navajo elder. And in the video, he gives his Navajo oral history of, who the Anasazi actually were, who the cliff dwellers were, and how the Navajo fit into this. I kid you not, I have had more comments and more people reach out to me with questions about what I think about that than probably anything else. So as we sit here and wait out the rain, maybe I will address that real quick. So in regards to the channel, I believe it's called Navajo Traditional Teachings. I think it's great. Yeah, actually one of my friends who is Navajo pointed me to the channel probably a little over a year ago. Now in regards to the video that everybody's asking me about, I found it very intriguing, very interesting. It's certainly a different perspective than what you're going to read in a lot of academic books. So does that mean that it's wrong because there are professionals who would disagree? Obviously not, because the professionals disagree amongst themselves. But I think it's very much worth noting that there are other tribal traditions and other tribal oral histories from other people groups in the Southwest besides the Navajo who would tell a different story. There are also professionals, archaeologists or anthropologists who have spent many years studying these issues and who would disagree with that, and give a different story. So in terms of my perspective, who's right, who's wrong? I have no idea. If I had all the answers to Southwestern history and archaeology, I probably would have published multiple books by now. Maybe I'd be on a great world tour, giving lectures and stuff. I wouldn't be making a YouTube channel called Desert Drifter. So yeah, I don't know. I think every perspective is worth listening to. Lots of intrigue. I'm fascinated by it, right? Of course, if you probably are too. And maybe in 5, 10, 15 years, I'll say, hey, after all my research and blah, 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 here's what I believe and here's why, and be, really like adamant about one perspective. But that's not where I am right now. And really the purpose of the channel, isn't to be this exhaustive and comprehensive explanation of the super intricate nature of Southwestern archaeology and history. So all that being said, maybe that answered a few questions. Like I said, I've seen a ton of comments about it. Go watch the video, check it out yourself. And yeah, tell me what you think. After all of that, it looks like we got a little blue sky popping through. I don't know if you guys can see that. So yeah, it was just kind of a quick little shower. Little tight squeeze there. Oh wow. There is a bunch over here. Huh, really cool. This is a good example of just like the different styles. You've got those two figures right here, and then right next to them, very different. I believe a number of these figures are supposed to be representing Navajo deities. These are kind of tucked in this corner here. Right off the ground level, I believe that's supposed to be a horse. Wow, this is cool. This is a huge panel. I don't think I'm even scratching the surface yet, but it's about 6 p.m. and I'm starting to realize I don't think I'm gonna see everything I want to see today. And so what I think I'm gonna do is go grab my backpack and hike back out to the main canyon, try to find a cluster of rocks or something, some kind of windbreak where I can set up camp out there. So you might be wondering, why didn't I just set up camp back there? Wouldn't it be cool to can't buy all the petroglyphs. I see that question a lot too in comments and stuff like, why don't I camp by the ruins? Well, it's always considered bad etiquette to camp near an archaeological site, and some places it's just outright illegal. Now, why is that? Honestly, a lot of reasons, but a couple of the more compelling ones to me are, despite how hard we try, myself included, to leave no trace, and to minimize our impact, the reality is when we camp someplace, we leave an impact. And so, choose someplace not so fragile as an archaeological site to leave that impact. Also, when we camp someplace, often we will leave some little food crumbs, despite maybe trying not to. And those food crumbs can attract rodents. And if those rodents decide to set up shop and, burrow there, if there's, an ancient ruin or ancient structure, and they start burrowing in that ground, then it can obviously, compromise the integrity of that foundation. Yeah, so the way I like to think about it is it's momentary inconvenience that hopefully leads to longer term preservation. So across the main wash there is this grove of cottonwoods that actually has pretty good windbreak. So I think I'm gonna set up camp here. There's some clear ground for a tent, and there's plenty of wood. So no fire restrictions in place this time of year. It's still wet enough, so I think we're gonna watch some Caveman TV tonight. Cottonwoods notoriously drop limbs, so it's always best, if you can avoid it, set your tent up not under the tree. It took a while to find enough dry wood, but I think I got enough now to get a little fire going. With the fire going, I cooked up a quick dinner and enjoyed the latest episode of Caveman TV. After dinner, I settled in to read a book about this region in the 1800s. As the firelight flickered on the trees and the stars shone through the branches, I tried to imagine this land when it was wild and full of danger. Good morning. Man, it was cold last night. Water partially froze. I'm gonna try to get breakfast and camp cleaned up as quick as possible so I can get out of here and generate some body heat. Much better now that the sun's up. So I'm gonna head back up into that canyon from last night, check it out a little more. Look at the moon just hanging right above the canyon wall. Okay, so I think I just spotted first signs of rock art up on the wall here. Covered some miles, actually warmed up really quickly. It's got to be 30-degree temperature swing in just a couple of hours. The sun is a bit harsh on them right now. Well, here's good old Ramon Rodriguez. December 31st, I think that's 1908. Little geologic oddity here. Maybe iron leaching out of these rocks. Oh wow, this is cool. This is a neat panel. Let's start at the top. Did you guys hear that canyon wren? Very classic sound out here in the canyon country. Where is he? Where are you at? Is that? No. I don't know where he's at, but giving us a song this morning. Huh. Pretty interesting geometric shapes here. Some kind of cat track represented here, probably a mountain lion, but we've got bobcats and other things out here too. So just to the right, got a lot going on here. So definitely some hunting scenes being depicted, you know, a big either spear or arrow through the heart of that elk. I believe these are some bison up here, or American buffalo, whatever you want to call them. Really clear depiction of a corn plant here. That is really cool. So intricate and detailed. Clearly there's been soil erosion, but at one point in time it was higher because there's a lot of images over here. Very cool. So I saw a site on the way in that looked interesting. So I want to go back and see if I can find a way up to it. So I don't know if you can make it out. Let's see, where did it go? Oh, right there, right in the middle. It's pretty hard. And my finger's messing it up even more. But there's a defensive rune up on a boulder there. So I'm going to see if I can find a way up this. This is quite loose. There we go. It's not very good rock here. There's probably an easier way, but I don't know where it is. Huh. There it is. Pretty wild, huh? Back here, the boulder probably is about 8 feet tall. So, you know, you would have had to have a ladder. There's another small wall, some other structure that used to sit down here. These boulder top structures in this region have been studied extensively by archaeologists. They've taken numerous tree ring samples, and nearly all the results show these were built in the early to mid 1700s. Why, and by whom? There have been different theories over the years, but the most accepted one today credits these structures to the Navajo. During this time period, they were undergoing significant pressures from both the Spanish as well as the Utes, another tribe considered a traditional enemy of the Navajo. Surrounded with turmoil and violence, the Navajo retreated to these defensible areas. I was about to leave and just noticed there's a little bit of pottery down here. You know, it's interesting stuff. A lot of lives, a lot of cultures have crisscrossed these canyons over the years. I want to put some more miles behind us before it gets too hot. I continued on, finding one more rock art panel that I visited along the way. Look at those long fingers. Those are kind of creepy. Wow, look at that. I know it's hard to tell size via video, but I mean, this is probably pushing 4 feet tall if you take, you know, the bottom of that, the very tip top. For reference, here's my hand, you know, and it's really a pretty small piece of his shield. As the sun continued to bake the landscape, I pushed on, still feeling like there was more to find. At one point, I spooked a rabbit. Man, those things are fast. Eventually, I paused in the shade of a large canyon wall to eat a snack and evaluate my water situation. I decided I could push a little further. And I'm thankful I did, because just around the corner, okay, so I don't know if my eyes are playing tricks on me, but way up there, it looks like there's something up in one of those cracks. That's a long ways up there. I'm so intrigued, but I don't know that I have enough water to go all the way up there and back. I'll send the drone up and take a look with that. I was fascinated by what I was seeing through the drone screen. I did extensive research to try and find something about this site. Eventually, I found a very brief write-up that attributed it to the Navajo, but admitted no archaeologist had ever visited or dated the site. If it's never been dated, why is it being attributed to the Navajo? My guess is because of the construction style, and perhaps other things they found in the vicinity. But is it Navajo? I don't know. As I stood there staring, I couldn't help but wonder, could some of the stories about the connections between the cliff dwellers and the Navajo come from this time period? Is this some of the evidence right here? I don't know, but perhaps I'll have to revisit this site and take a closer look at this possibility. If this interests you, drop a comment and let me know. Man, that was crazy. The canyons always leave you with more questions than answers, don't they? It's probably one reason I keep coming back to it. Hope you guys enjoyed the last couple of days. It was fun. Check out a new area. Thanks for tuning in. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, if you want to keep exploring the Southwest with me. I'll see you guys next time.